To soar between skyscrapers, held by a thread of your own making, it's a fantasy woven into the fabric of modern culture, a dream of freedom, agility, and power. But what if that dream relies on a single thread that can break? The truth is, in a world governed by physics, that single point of failure wouldn't be thrilling. It would be instantly fatal. This is more than just a comic book question. It's a fascinating problem at the intersection of physics, biology, and material science. So here at AI Says, we decided to run the numbers. We fed our analytical models a massive dataset. Peer-reviewed studies on G-force tolerance, the material science of advanced polymers, the biophysics of adhesion, and the metabolic demands of elite athletes. We gave the AI a single directive: ignore comic book magic and deliver a verdict based on the unforgiving laws of our own reality. The results are shocking. Let's start with the most iconic power, web swinging. The problem isn't the speed, it's the stopping, and aerospace medicine gives us a hard limit for human endurance. A trained fighter pilot using a G-suit and special breathing techniques can withstand about 9 Gs, 9 times the force of gravity, before G-LOC, or G-induced loss of consciousness, sets in. This happens because the extreme force pulls blood away from the brain. But what Spider-Man would experience is far worse than a pilot. It's more like a high-speed car crash. Physics describes this as a sequence of 3 collisions. First, the vehicle collision. His body, traveling at, say, 100 kilometers per hour, is stopped by the web. That kinetic energy has to go somewhere. Second, the occupant collision. His body stops, but his internal organs don't. The brain slams into the front of the skull. The heart, lungs, and liver are forced violently into the rib cage. And third, the internal collision. As his body rebounds, those same organs slam into the opposite side of the body cavity, causing tearing, damage, and massive internal bleeding. This is called a contracoup injury. Our AI calculated that a sudden stop from top speed could subject him to over 70 Gs. At that force, it's not a question of losing consciousness. It's a question of organ liquefaction. The verdict from physics is clear: survival is impossible. But let's assume some miracle of physiology lets him survive the G-forces. What about the web itself? We've all heard the myth: spider silk is stronger than steel. The AI analyzed the data, and this is a classic case of a misleading fact. In terms of pure tensile strength, the force required to pull something apart, high-grade steel and Kevlar are significantly stronger than spider silk. So, is the web useless? Not at all. The AI found the web's real superpower isn't strength, it's toughness. Toughness is the ability to absorb energy before breaking. It's a combination of strength and elasticity. That toughness is perfect for absorbing the kinetic energy of a falling object. But this incredible material comes at a staggering biological price. Spider silk is a protein, and protein synthesis is one of the most energy-intensive processes in a cell, requiring a minimum of 4 high-energy ATP molecules for every single peptide bond. Our AI calculated that to produce just 1 kilogram of this silk, he would need to metabolize the protein from over 900 eggs, and he uses far more than that every day. It's a biological factory running on an impossible fuel source. So, he's somehow immune to physics and has an infinite energy supply. Can he at least stick to a wall? The answer lies not in his hands, but in a fundamental law of the universe, the square-cube law. As an object gets bigger, its volume, and therefore its weight, increases by the cube of its size, but its surface area only increases by the square. This is why an ant can fall from any height and survive, but an elephant can't even jump. Geckos are masters of adhesion. They don't use suction or glue. They use millions of microscopic hairs called setae, which branch into billions of nano-sized tips. This creates an immense surface area, allowing a weak quantum force of attraction, called the van der Waals force, to become incredibly powerful. But gecko adhesion works because they have a high surface area to volume ratio. A 75-kilogram human has a terrible ratio. The AI calculated that for a human to support their weight with a gecko-like system, they would need adhesive pads covering roughly 40% of their entire body surface. It wouldn't make him an agile superhero, it would make him an awkward, immobile creature. Finally, let's look at the total energy budget. We've established the immense cost of silk production. Add to that the caloric demands of a healing factor that can mend broken bones in hours. Another massive demand for protein synthesis. Compare this to one of the most demanding endurance events on Earth, the Tour de France. Elite cyclists can burn up to 9,000 calories in a single day. The AI's final metabolic projection for Spider-Man, just to maintain basic functions, is staggering. It's not thousands of calories a day, it's hundreds of thousands. He would have to be eating constantly, in quantities so vast they would be physically impossible to consume and digest. Finally, the most mysterious ability, the spider sense, a premonition of danger and a near supernatural reaction time. But even if we accept this as a given, do we hit a biological limit? The average human visual reaction time is about a quarter of a second. For elite athletes, it can be under 0.15 seconds. But dodging a bullet traveling at 800 meters per second requires a reaction in the thousandths of a second. The problem is the speed of nerve conduction. Our nerves transmit signals at a maximum speed of about 120 meters per second. It's a physical limit, defined by how ions move across cell membranes. The signal has to travel from the eyes to the brain, be processed, a decision made, and the signal sent back to the muscles. Even at maximum biological speed, this process takes far too long to react to a sudden, high-velocity threat. The AI's verdict: to have that kind of reaction speed, Spider-Man would need a nervous system fundamentally different from a human's, perhaps one based on electronics, not electrochemistry. So, what is the final verdict from our AI analysis? It's not a single point of failure, it's a complete, systemic collapse. Each power creates a problem that his other powers cannot solve. His speed creates lethal G-forces. His web, while tough, has an impossible energy cost. His wall crawling is defeated by the simple math of his own size. And the energy required for all of it creates an unpayable metabolic debt. So, could Spider-Man exist in our world? The AI's conclusion is clear and absolute: no. The laws of physics would execute him. The laws of biology would bankrupt him. He is a beautiful, inspiring idea. But in our reality, he remains just that: a dream. A fantasy that science, unfortunately, has to ground. If this investigation made you think, support the channel with a like and subscribe so we can continue exploring the future together.